Emotions. Everyone has them, but I'm convinced something's wrong with mine. The emotions that God gave me need to hit the gym because my past keeps telling me that they're big enough to be grabbed, thrown, run over, mess with, everything. I got sick of it recently. My brother insulted me unprovoked as per usual, and I started crying once again as per usual, but this time, at some point between tears and sense, I stopped. Like an actress who snapped back to reality after shooting a tragic scene. Why? Because I thought to myself, Alicia, you're not even an ugly donkey who should die, so why on earth are you crying? And you may be thinking, seriously, like, that's what hurt you. But listen, we don't judge, we've all been there, silenced or gagged by the most ridiculous of insults. So I did some research to find out why. I wanted to know what it was about words that allowed others to control our emotions, and surprisingly, I ended up down a rabbit hole about linguistics history. I learned about two guys, Edward Sapir and Benjamin Lee Wolfe. In 1929, they came up with the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, the idea that language influences thought rather than the opposite. The key word here is influences. Whenever you are influenced by someone, there's a dormant desire that they've touched. Some form of interest or agreement has to be made on your part to follow through. It's why Pinterest warriors blow their overdraft on hoodies that say Bando Money Tracking on them, and why procrastinators binge eat self-help podcasts before rolling over and going back to bed. Influence works in the same way when people get under our skin. We tend to think that insults single-handedly break their way into our minds and cause us harm, when in reality, they knocked on the door and were invited in. Something inside you was already in agreement with what was said. The pain you feel is simply strength in numbers. Whilst your emotions are deaf to the difference between internal and external negativity, they always recognize when they're under attack. There's a problem here though. This doesn't fully make sense. If an insult is completely abstract, nonsensical, or just a straight up lie, why do we still get hurt by it? One reason is that there's an infinite variety in how words can be expressed. Every single word we say has a tone, facial expression, and a volume that affects the way that insults land and detonate. These factors leave room for interpretation. The deeper your insecurities, the more you're hurt by this because you're connecting an ambiguous insult to something that no one knows about. Another reason is context. Where were we? Was this in front of people? What led to this point? What has just happened? Context makes the weakest of insults more impactful because different scenarios combine insults with different emotions. But what can we actually do when it feels like others are controlling their emotions by the things that they say? It's not like we can wrench into our souls with torches and scalpels to remove the nerves that are triggered when we hear things that we don't like. Fortunately, there's 3 solutions that should make sense for everyone. Number 1, question the person. Shifting your attention away from the insult itself and towards the person who has greedily drawn their breath to insult you is number 1. Ask yourself, why on earth would someone take the time to say this? Then pity them. There's something inside of them causing the malice that they spread. Whilst this doesn't excuse their behavior, it shifts your focus away from the hurt. And by the time you're thinking about yourself again, you'll have forgotten what was said. Number 2, question the truth. Digest what is said before allowing it to control your feelings. We tend to let words hit us emotionally before we process them mentally, when it should be the reverse. You can only do this by allowing your mind time to create a response. Always remember that if you lead with emotion, they've already controlled you. Number 3, respond nicely. This is the one that no one wants to do. It's understandable. The first thing you want to do is tell them about their mother, but nothing diffuses an insult like kindness. By doing so, you'll heap burning coals onto the head of the one who aims them at you. To conclude, sometimes words hurt. It's one of the many parts of the human experience. Luckily, insults only cut at the soul if something inside us allows them to. Cruel words won't bother you when you read between the lines and question their truth. So, what are your thoughts on this topic? Do you agree, disagree, have a different take? I'd love to know. Drop them in the comments below. I'm a wrapper up. Okay, maybe not. And until next time, Alicia, the adult.